This morning I was playing around using up lots of scraps, leftovers or whatever, and I made this little white on white Christmas card. And as I was doing it, I thought to myself, I know what I'll do. I'll just continue and use various techniques to use as a bit like a sampler, really, of things that you can do on a white on white card so that things stand out, so that, you know, a bit of variety in your design. So this has got quite a few things, actually. It's got embossing, dry embossing. It's got stacked elements. This star is stacked twice, but it's also got a little coating of, it's kind of Wink of Stella on this one. It's Nouveau's glitter gloss, I think they call it. So that's another thing. So using a clear or twinkly glaze or whatever. Contrasting plain card with the embossed. This one is raised onto foam tape. And these two deer, although white, completely white, they're stacked 3 times and the middle layer is black. So although they're stacked exactly on top of each other, there is this sort of minimal shading around the edge that just makes them stand out a bit more. So it's not my finest card, I have to say, but it, as I say, as a kind of a sample, it does give you a few examples of things that you can do. So stacking, glazing, raising on foam tape, embossing, underlining, or with a middle layer of a darker colour. So that being done, I thought I'd just go ahead and make a white on white card this morning, and I wanted to use this die. This was in one of my freebie bags from Gummiapan, the British one, at .co.uk, and it says "with sympathy." Now, several things about this. It's a very large die together. It's really very ornate and very meaningful. When we send cards with sympathy, we're sending it because we mean it. So it's got to be treated appropriately, shall we say. So if I was to just put that on a card with nothing else, this is so pretty, it would actually probably do. Can you imagine it stuck down? But if you wanted to make it just a little bit more vital, you could stack the sentiment. And I've got here that one that is actually 2 layers. And already it's kind of more vital. Can you see? It shows up more. So that's one thing, is stacking the thing. We could frame it. And here I just chose a square. I chose, where has it gone? Here it is. This is one of a set of double-stitched nesting dies. The idea of a double stitching is that if you cut out a panel like this, it will have stitching around the edge of it. If you want it to be an aperture in a card, the aperture would have stitching around it as well. So I cut it out, first of all, with this one. And I thought to myself, how could I make that a little bit more definite? So what I did was get the next die down in the set of the nest, and embossed another frame within it. So that is another thing that you can do. So let's just have a look at this with a kind of a frame on it. This is the double one here. Do you see? And already it's just looking that little bit more special, isn't it? If you wanted to, you could have more of a fancy frame. I've got one here. This is one of the dies from the set I bought in Crafts for Less in its clearance sale. I haven't cut it out before. Big dies like this, particularly if they've got an intricate element like the edge of this one has, are better cut, I find, in large machines. I think that the spread of design, I can't get this on the cross easily in my spellbinders, but in a machine that would take A4 size paper, you'd get a better cut, I think. So let's just try this one on there. Oh, dropping my glue. There we go. To me, that feels as if it needs something else. I did cut another one to see if a double one of these would be better. And to me, that does look, it does look better to have a double. Okay. If you don't want if you don't want to waste paper by having an extra layer like this, you can again do what I did with this one, and emboss this one. So if I were to put this on here, I'll show you now. If I were to put this on here, here's my machine. I would put my rubber mat and my paper and dye. I'm going to add a little bit of tape to hold it still. Let's try and get it centralised. I think that's okay. Just put a little bit of tape on and then run it through the machine. Doing this once before, and I'd got some sentiments ready to stack, and that was going to be the next thing I did in my video. And when I came to do the stacking, would you believe it, some of those sentiments had miraculously disappeared, and they'd gone underneath my mat and gone through the rollers. So that was the end of that one, so try not to do that in future. Right, here we go. So here we've got a different look. It's pretty, almost like a cushion. Isn't that nice? That is so almost. Let's have a look at this one. That's almost more subtle, isn't it? Do you see? And here's our With Sympathy. So I think any of these would actually do. You could, of course, add a bit of twinkle. Something that I'm very prone to doing with sympathy cards somewhere is to add a butterfly. To me, butterflies are sort of so like the change in life, going from one state to another. The butterfly life cycle is such that, to me, I think actually without the butterflies, with all this fancy stuff, but if I was to do it on this plain one like this, I think butterflies look quite nice. And with the fact, I would put probably a little bit of a jewel in there and there. And I think if you've got a fancy thing like that, a fancy butterfly would probably take away from the sentiment, and I want the emphasis to be on that sentiment. So just plain, absolutely plain, but with perhaps a little jewel in each. I think just stick that down. And I think I would be inclined to just give this a bit of shine. Either something like Spray and Sparkle. This is just a pearl diamond Spray and Sparkle, or Nouveau Glitter Gloss. It's one of those painting pens that you have. So I will finish this, and I hope it's just given you a few ideas, a few thoughts, a few things to think about when you are thinking about constructing a white on white card. Don't overdo it. Even that is enough probably enough by itself. But think about what's important in the message that your card is giving, and think about the things that you can do: embossing, raising, stacking, colouring with clear or twinkly things, and have a bit of fun. You just go for it. Thank you so much for watching.